and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Michael from Team Clueless.
And we are Modelling for Advantage. So, Michael, what are we going to be talking about today?
So today we are going to be talking about the update that Blood Angels has received. You can tell by my outfit that I'm a big Blood Angels fan. I have been for many years, and they've had a new supplement come out called Blood of Baal, which basically gives them a codex update similar to all the Space Marine supplements, and also Chapter Approved has altered their points on quite a few key models, so we thought we'd give you an update on what's going to happen and what's good to take now.
And there's quite a lot to talk about. I mean, we've played some games since the new Space Marine Codex, and you use Blood Angels models, but not Blood Angels.
Yeah.
But now you think you would.
Oh yeah, so I have, let's say, a lot of Space Marines. I think I've got 30 to 40,000 points, 20,000 points painted maybe, but they're all painted red. I've got characters.
Does that mean you think you have 18,000 unpainted points of Space Marines? Just hearing that.
Let's hope my wife isn't watching this.
You've not been married that long,
No, a couple of years. There's a spare bed in our house, and underneath it, there's a lot of stuff.
18.
I've got it on a spreadsheet, so I could probably look, because it tells me what's painted, what's not. I am that anal.
There must be a special place in hell for gamers where they just have to confront that pile of shame.
I don't have any unbuilt. I build everything, often undercoat it, so that if I ever have to use it, it doesn't look like bare plastic.
It's not too much.
I hate bare plastic. But yeah, so that's a lot.
A lot.
So what was the question again?
No, we were just talking about what we were doing, wasn't it? So we're going to look at Blood Angels look in 2020. They're playable again, I think.
Yeah, much more.
Before we get into the details of that, because I think you're probably going to wax lyrical about this, quite enthusiastic.
Very much.
And I'm glad to have an expert, lifelong Blood Angels player. But tell us a little bit about what you've been doing at the moment, because Christmas is a thing in your channel with this red theme.
It is, yes. So I run a channel I have done for many years now called Team Clueless 40k. Me and a load of my mates, we basically play battle reports. Some of them are competitive themed, so I've got a selection of mates. My mate Mark, him and I often do battle reports which are proper tournament armies. So we went to a tournament a few weeks back. We both took proper hard tournament times that I would not play in a casual game down at a shop. No. But then most of our videos I play with other groups of friends, especially my mate Nick, and they're a bit wacky, they're a bit weird. If you go to our video we released a couple of days ago, we did our Christmas theme video, and we have a Zone Mortalis board floating above a normal board using glasses as stands and stuff.
With little Christmas hats on the Castellan.
Little Christmas hats on the Castellan, you have to hunt them down. It was all kinds of weird stuff, but I like designing missions, and some of them are really weird. We do lots of stuff where there's NPC monsters, so big fantasy miniatures that we chase around the board trying to kill.
Which may be a household ornament.
Which could be a household ornament. Last year we hunted a giant porcelain pig, for instance, at Christmas, because who doesn't like gammon at Christmas? So yeah, we do that kind of stuff on our channel. So if you like that kind of thing, I mean, one good thing about doing that kind of video is that it's not particularly edition dependent. So so you could go back and watch a video from 4 years ago, and because we're not going deep into rules for those type of videos, it doesn't really matter. You're just watching us have a laugh and trying to kill a giant tiger with a Space Marine.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Team Clueless 40k.
Yeah, that's it. Team Clueless, just one word was already taken.
Link on the what's it, and I can probably put, I always do this wrong.
Yeah, I never know where they are.
I think it's up to the recent Christmas
stick it above my head like a hat.
Yeah. Christmas hats on the Castellan robot. So, Michael, then onto the meat of it. I can see just off the screen there you've brought some miniatures to illustrate some things. Blood Angels have been the whipping boys of the tournament scene, and then the new Space Marine Codex came along. And they didn't get that.
They did not get that. More to the pity.
And then these books came out, and the Space Marines got even better.
Oh, you're making me depressed again now.
We thought this was a belter, and then we saw the
Iron Hands.
Iron Hands one was just mental.
I played the tournament we went to. I played Iron Hands with my red Blood Angels.
I think you should have been expecting that at that point in the tournament scene.
And I won the tournament, so that was good. Yeah, I got a nice little trophy and everything. But I did feel a little dirty doing it, because
you played Iron Hands.
I played Iron Hands, and I literally
miniatures.
Well, it wasn't just using the Iron Hand rules. I literally just picked my dice up and might as well not worried about rolling to hit, because I hit every time because there's so many re-rolls and such. And I just blew everybody off the table. It didn't really matter what they were using. It was just pure firepower. So luckily Blood Angels aren't quite as good as Iron Hands were, fingers crossed. but I want them to be good, but not too good. It's that, kind of like Pete, you don't want to be beating your friends down while playing them. You want them to be enjoying the game.
Yes, and that's always a difficult balance.
Very much,
You know, we've John and I have been working on formats to try and have to limit the game to a more casual format. The problem is you buy a new thing and then your mate buys a new thing, and what you don't realise is you're actually pushing the envelope of the friendly game.
Yeah.
And your armies can get quite out of scale, even on the same points level.
All the best games are most fun when they're close.
Yes.
Winning by a country mile isn't as fun as beating somebody by the tips of your fingers on the last turn.
Yeah, looking for a 6 on the last turn.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I've done it. Yay, look at us win.
Yeah,
that's by far the most fun you can have while gaming. So that's kind of what you strive for, I suppose.
Which is handy because you've got a lot of 6 up fill no pains in this army, haven't you?
That is it.
So the two things that we've had then, we had the Space Marine Codex. So that brought in some things that levelled up all Space Marines a bit.
So a lot of the stuff it did, it adjusted a few points, which is always useful. It adjusted quite a lot of the points of the Primaris Marines, which I don't pay a whole lot of, but it made them a lot more usable. Things like aggressors, inceptors, even intercessors and stuff, bringing their guns down and also improving their guns. So intercessors now have multiple options of gun. They used to have 3 types of gun, but you'd only ever take one of them because it was better than the other 2 in every situation.
More viable options now.
Yeah, so they've done a lot of that, but I think the main thing that made the Space Marines Codex better was the stratagems. The original Codex Space Marines, which was I think the second one out in 8th edition, the stratagems are arse.
Honour the chapter.
Yeah.
Orbital bombardment when you were a rookie.
Yeah.
But you should move away from that. Did I mention Honour the chapter?
Yeah.
And maybe kill shot if you're foolish.
If you've got 3 predators and you go first, because you won't have 3 predators after the first turn.
I mean, I won't deny it. I think Honour the chapter is one of the best stratagems in the
very
game.
much.
Because if you're fighting that you initiated the fight, you're fighting with something powerful and you're expecting to achieve something. So I thought sometimes you have armies that don't have an equivalent to that.
Yeah, there are still some armies which are really lacking. Blood Angels were lacking in the stratagem department, but they've now been given most of the Space Marine ones. And the other thing Space Marine they got their updated chapter tactics. So they basically took all the old chapter tactics and gave them an additional rule on top, and they've done the same with Blood Angels, which we'll get to. So they've added a new chapter tactic to all the Space Marines, or nearly all. Raven Guard didn't really get one, which just ups the power of the whole army flat, and they've done the same to Blood Angels. Other things they've added, so the Space Marines got what they called combat doctrines, which is basically they can change it per turn. It gives you -1 AP on a weapon type. So it starts at heavy, can go to assault and rapid fire, then goes to close combat and pistols.
Yeah.
And then with the supplements, you get another rule stacked on top, which is their
in one particular phase is
their faction doctrine, which makes them even better. Iron Hands one is heavy, so it starts active, and it gives them reroll all ones to hit with heavy weapons, and lets them move and fire heavy weapons without penalty. Just bonkers levels of good stuff. The Blood Angels have gained a bonus, but it's not on that level, and it's not in heavy, so it doesn't start the game active.
Yes.
Which is a big key.
Yeah.
But the Space Marines are so good because any of those bonuses just on their own would have been fine, but it's the multiplicative effect of giving you loads of bonuses all at once makes them so good. Yeah,
is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a massive thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially from 0 to 1 and from 1 to 2.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
the thing.
AP over -2 is wasted because really dangerous things have invulns.
Or stuff with invulns. Like a las cannon rarely uses its -3 because most things you're firing at will have an invuln that you want to hurt with it.
And for me, because I tend to play wolves, but you probably felt it a bit with the angels, but we shoot even less than you.
Oh, yeah,
as wolves. The extra base attack from in the first round of combat
is key.
The only situation that I read, as I understood it, the way you didn't get it was if you were heroically intervened into.
Yes.
Which is something we might talk about later with the Blood Angel stratagems.
But that is a massive
But your tactical marine on 1 attack.
Yeah, it doubles their close combat power.
I mean, your Terminators going from 2 to 3 is a big deal. Because they're power fist attacks.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting an extra power fist attack.
You know, so
and you're adding in also the bolter discipline is now a fixed rule in the codex. So your Terminator, your basic Terminator, now fires 4 times at 24 inches.
Turn 2, that bolter can be AP -1.
Yeah, exactly, and has 3 power fist attacks, and they haven't raised the points at all. So that's just pure making you strictly better.
Yeah, and these things all kind of combine and you're making...
that's it. Little tiny bonuses, but lots of them.
Yes. Now, there's the rules creep aspect to this, and the weight of the rules.
Yeah, that is an issue. I find
a little bit depressing,
me too.
To be honest. Not so much the having to buy the books. I mean, people moan a lot about buying a book, and I get that, but once you've got 150 Space Marines...
Yeah.
What are you really spending to continue in the hobby? You don't need anything beyond that point.
This edition,
they want £30 a year from you for books.
This edition, I've gone to all digital books. So I've got my tablet. Yeah. You buy your books on your tablet, and I've done that. And it's not so much. It's not the money, because the tablet ones are a bit cheaper. So you're saving a £5.
Yeah.
It's because at the end of 7th edition, I got all my books off the shelf, and like a shelf of this, I play maybe 8 to 10 different armies with all your supplements, and I bought every single one, and
it's worthless. And
it's worthless, but it's also the fact that I hate throwing away that many books. I mean, they're not thrown away; they're sitting at my factory on the roof. They're just a massive pile of paper, and it's also carrying them to the games and stuff. Yeah. So it's just a pain. I mean, I've got them digitally, but you've got I print out what you need as well, and I don't take that to a game. If I go to a tournament, I don't want to be flipping through a book. I don't want to be flipping through a tablet. I print out the pages I need, and I've got a little slip folder I put them in, so I can get to everything I need within seconds.
And you don't mind letting your opponent know?
Yeah, I can just pass it over to them. It's really easy to look through. Yeah. And I recommend that to people if you're going to tournaments, that kind of thing. Print off just what you want. You don't need 100 pages for the 10 units you're taking.
Yeah. And
makes stuff easier.
But your errata, the things that are not going to be easy to find, or you're not going to remember where they are.
That's the other thing with the books, is they release the book and then they errata it. And I understand the speed they release stuff nowadays. Yeah. You can't expect there to be no mistakes. I mean, you can want there to be none, but there's going to be mistakes, isn't there? Yeah. Whereas the digital stuff updates itself, which is good.
Oh, and we moan about the amount of stuff that we have and their erratas, but the reality is people moaned a lot more about older editions never getting
I'll take errata any day. I've played for many editions, and I remember the day we used to wait 6 months for them to do an FAQ, and then it'd come out and they wouldn't have addressed the things you want, and wait another year.
The compendium, though, is what and chapter approved doesn't seem to be. It doesn't include previous years and so forth. Anyway, we have not yet even started talking about the models. It is Christmas when we're recording.
It is,
You're watching this in June. We were talking about this stuff when it was new.
Yeah, if they're watching it in June, the rules are going to be irrelevant. They've probably been updated since then.
Possibly.
Might be on 9th edition.
No, I've only just got a handle on this one. No. So, why don't you show us some models, Michael?
Okay, so what have I brought along? So let's start with how Blood Angels were before they got this update. So this man here, you may not be able to see him particularly well on camera, but I am holding up Sanguinary, sometimes he is called. He is a captain with a jump pack, a thunder hammer, and a storm shield. Before the update, all you would see from Blood Angels would be generally 2 or 3 of this guy.
Usually painted black, though?
Sometimes painted black. I've got 3 of them. I've got a black one, a gold one, and a red one, just because.
But there'd be Death Company.
Oh, you'd take the Death Company stratagem on them. There's a stratagem you can pay 1 command point for. It gives them +1 attack on the charge, a 6+ feel no pain, and you can then use Death Company stratagems on them. So it makes them a member of. But this guy and 3 scout squads, that would be a Blood Angel battalion, and you'd see that plugged into loads of other armies because nothing else was usable. Nothing else was anywhere approaching what was in the Space Marine Codex, even before the Space Marine Codex got its update. So you just see these guys, and one of these guys could go and kill a knight on its own. Yeah. I've done it. You go in there, you fight the knight. If you don't kill it the first round, then
honor the chapter and have another go.
Yeah, if the knight kills you, then only in death does duty end, and you fight again and kill it.
Yeah, the chapter if it kills you.
So these guys were incredibly good, and they got a little worse. Not for any rules changes, but because this thing, let's pull him off, I magnetise everything. The Thunder Hammer has now gone up, I think, 21 points.
It's 40 flat on a character.
40 flat, which means you have to think about taking it. It's still really good.
I think as much as that is a heinous increase, I think it's fair.
Yeah, so do I.
I think it's a game changer for a character. Yeah. See, characters that can take it and characters that can't take it, their combat performance is hugely different. I think it's fair.
But the way that keys in, so that guy's gone up 20 points, and a combination of chapter approved and some new rules have made a load of the other characters a lot better. So let's take, for example, Commander Dante here. He's the Blood Angels chapter master. He's come down 25 points.
bringing him closer to the price.
Yes, I think he's now 150 points, which is maybe 10 points more
the
than
Demon Prince kind of price.
Yeah. And gives you full rerolls around. He's got 6 attacks with a D3 damage axe. He's got a melter pistol. He's obviously got a jump pack. He's got 6 wounds. So he's now worth taking, whereas previously he was 175 points. Your Smash Captain was 125 points around.
And this is D3 damage and that one 3.
So you're always taking the other one, but now you can take him. The same applies to people like...
And his axe is probably not -1 to hit, is it?
No, his axe hits on 2s. I think it's strength 6, D3 damage, -3 AP.
Yeah.
So perfectly usable now. This guy, the Sanguinary, I'm in the middle of painting him because he's now usable. He's dropped 25 points, and again he's now cheaper than the Smash Captain.
So what is the... So these are the areas where the Blood Angels have got their own Dante's a chapter master with a jump pack. But a Sanguinary, that's not something anybody else can get.
No, the Sanguinary is supposedly a manifestation of the spirit of Sanguinius. So in the 5th edition rulebook, he was kind of like considered a demon, but since then they've slightly toned back on the fluff, and a lot of people say that he was one of Sanguinius's Sanguinary Guard, and when Sanguinius died, he kind of like went off on a little crusade and now pops out of the warp and stuff. There's loads of different pieces of fluff on him.
They may or may not be creatures from the warp.
Yeah, may not be. He could be an actual Space Marine. The fluff on him has changed a little bit, shall we say. So who knows?
But what do they do in game?
So in game, the Sanguinary's main thing is he gives +1 attack to all Blood Angels within 6 inches.
Which wasn't worth it before because you just had a handful of scouts.
Yeah.
Whereas now
you've got a handful of Blood Angels
who are running up, bolt and chainsword.
Extra attacks is very much a theme in the Blood Angels Codex. So let's go into some of their basic rules quickly while we're on this. What have they gained? So the Blood Angels chapter tactic is +1 to wound in the first round of combat, basically. It's +1 to wound when you charge, are charged, or you heroically intervene.
So that's worse than what it was, because it was a flat +1 to wound in the...
No, it was always that.
Was it?
You never get it in second round of combat. It's always first round of combat, which is a really powerful chapter tactic.
Well, especially with knives and chainsaws.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it means you're wounding knights on a 5+ with your basic chainsword.
With anything.
Stuff like that. But now they've upped that, so you now get +1 to charge and +1 to advance as well.
And +1 to charge changes the percentages massively.
Yeah, especially because you've got so many jump packs, you're deep striking in, you're always looking for a 9. An 8 compared to a 9 on 2d6 is, just off the top of my head, 16% better, maybe something like that. So a lot more, might even be more than that, but a lot more light. So that's a big improvement. But then they've got the other things they got. So they've now got combat doctrines, which gives them the extra AP and such.
Which again, with your chainsaw,
really good. When you get to the 3rd stage of the combat doctrines, the assault doctrine, you get -1 to AP with your chainswords and all your other melee weapons, but you now also get a +1 attack on the first round of combat.
Another attack.
Another +1 attack.
And that's mid to late game.
Yeah.
When things are... You're running out of models now, aren't you? You're trying to get the most out of
And that's the way to look at it. A lot of people reading online complain that, it's not till the 3rd round, what's the point? It won't happen. But the way I like to look at it is, Blood Angels are an army that are very in your face, so turn 1 or turn 2, I'm dropping stuff down, I'm charging forwards, I'm getting into combat, I'm killing most stuff I hit. But then I've won that combat and the opponent backs away, shoots your units. So then you're left with 3 or 4 dudes left from your 10-man unit. But then you're in 3rd turn, you're charging in again, you've now got an extra attack
and AP.
Yeah, so you're making yourself better. So I think that's the way to look at it. I played a game at the weekend, our Christmas game for instance, and I had some Terminators. So a basic Terminator was going in with his Thunderhammer, used to have 2 attacks. It was turn 3. He's now got 4 attacks.
On your basic dude?
On your basic Terminator with a Thunderhammer. And that's the attacks of a Chapter Master.
Yeah.
So, and he was just killing stuff,
model, including the
30-something point model now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a really good chapter tactic, a really good doctrine bonus for Blood Angels, really helps them a lot, makes them much more thematic as well, makes them feel a bit faster. 1 inch doesn't seem like a lot, but I think mentally it makes me think, they're actually fast now. They're always fast in the fluff, but actually giving them a rule that represents that makes it feel a lot better.
Yeah. So the Sanguinary, he's not a chaplain, and he's not a psyker.
chaplain. He's not a psyker. He's He's a good attacking stat line.
Yeah.
He's one of his other special rules. He can leave combat and still charge on the same turn.
And he's got wings, so he can move a lot.
He's got wings. He can move a lot. But you're basically taking him for the +1 attack bubble. He makes whatever's nearby much better.
Yeah.
Other HQs that have got a lot
now,
better.
with the new Space Marine Codex, that includes vehicles and Dreadnoughts.
That's one of the problems with the new Blood Angel Codex, is that they've given us chapter tactics on our vehicles, but our chapter tactics consist of +1 to charge and +1 to wound, and you're really not taking it. If I pull out this vehicle, for instance, I brought along because it's an iconic Blood Angel model, is the Bale Predator.
And there's a lot of dust on this model.
There is a lot. Well, again, I used this the weekend because I wanted it to be fluffy. But this thing doesn't benefit at all from any of those rules we've just discussed. +1 advance, maybe, but it's all armed with heavy weapons, so when are you going to be advancing it ever? He suffers. He's nice and fluffy. He still does a job. I mean, most things that you say they're not good rules-wise, they're still actually semi-usable.
It's not shocking.
What is it? It's 20% overcosted, maybe?
Yeah.
The problem with this model in particular is that it's basically a twin assault cannon on a Rhino, and you can take a twin assault cannon Razorback with 5 model transport capacity for 20 points less than this without the heavy bolters.
Right, that's
and it's the same model.
2 damage assault cannon, isn't it?
No, it's just a bog standard assault cannon.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a bit of a problem. It needs a special rule. The rule that I always think it needs, and don't want to get into wish listing here, is it needs a rule that says your heavy weapons are assault weapons. Because fluff-wise, this tank is super fast and runs around shooting stuff.
Right.
Rules-wise, it's armed with heavy weapons. And it's got a special rule that means it advances an extra 6 inches when it advances.
But it can't fire.
But it can't fire in its guns. It's just little rules misses.
You can take this well with flamers, though.
Yeah, they're all heavy.
But they're all heavy. Right, okay, that answered that question. No problem. Well, that is just trash.
That is trash.
There is one last thing to say about Predators for the Blood Angels, though.
They still have kill shot, so
they still have kill shot.
If you're a fan of that stratagem, Dark Angels still have it, Space Wolves still have it, Blood Angels still have it.
Now, the one thing to say about that, though, is a Razorback cannot get kill shot on its auto cannon.
Get kill shot.
If you got it off,
it murders
plus
stuff.
1 to wound, +1 damage.
Yeah, +1 damage is such a massive bonus.
On a 20-shot weapon.
Yeah, it's just absurd.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, but
if
you could do it.
All 3 of them survived the first turn.
Yeah.
And you've no hunter-killer missile on that. Were they not so good in previous editions?
They weren't. They were quite expensive.
Right.
But having played you a lot of games in power level, I have actually painted up some hunter-killer missiles, which are designed just to rest on top of my models. So next time we play,
they're only like 6 points.
Yeah, they're quite reasonable
the
nowadays.
20-point missile on it may have come down now.
Yeah.
So that vehicle ain't going to live 3.5 turns. I'm going to take that one shot for 6 points.
Yeah, very much. They're a good option.
If you go in vehicles
and in power level, they're just
they're free.
Yeah. Why aren't you taking them? Where's your Stormbolter?
Yes, exactly. All right, sorry.
So another thing you mentioned Chaplains, and Blood Angels are well known for their Chaplains. They've always had them in the fluff. Yep. Special Chaplains, and Blood Angels have 2 special named Chaplains. So we have Lamartes, who is a chaplain who's a special death company chaplain. He's fallen to the Black Rage. And they have this guy who I'm in the middle of painting, because again, you can tell his rules have got better. We have Astorath the Grim.
So you bought this model because it was nice, but never used it because...
Yeah, basically. I buy models because I like models, and because I'm a completionist. I have more or less every model you can have in a Space Marine army. But I paint them when I want to use them.
Yeah.
So if it's got good rules, or if I've got a particular idea for a list, I'll suddenly go and get the paintbrush out and paint them.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing with various of the models which have been gathering dust under the bed, got them out and painting them. But the reason the Chaplains are now good, partly it's point drops, but also they have given them something from the Space Marine Codex. Yeah, litanies, which are amazing.
Which Chaos Marines got first?
They did get first, yeah, and I thought
that they were just going to get it, and Space Marines weren't.
Yeah, and it's kind of taking a little bit away, isn't it, from the Chaos?
It meant it added some uniqueness to Chaos Space Marines.
Although the Chaos, I think they're slightly different. They work exactly the same rules-wise, except the Chaos can take little acolytes that make them more reliable. but they're distinctly different in actually what they do, Paolo. So they've each got the basic one, which is re-roll to hits in 6 inches. But a lot of the Chaos ones are aura buffs, which a lot of them are survivability buffs, like they can give out, I think it's feel no pain around them. They can give out various other bonuses, where a lot of the Space Marine ones are very much keyed to close combat.
Right.
Or targeting a single unit. So I think actually, even though the rules read very similarly, I think on the table they've got different uses. Like the Blood Angel ones, you're going to be taking for assaulting stuff.
Yes.
And the main reason is the best one you can take gives you +2 to your charge rolls.
Is that
a 6-inch bubble? It is not cumulative.
Because that's a bit mental.
They have been very good in the rules. The thing that gives you the +2 charge bonus says under it this is not cumulative with any other charge bonus, which I'm glad they did. Actually, get like +4. But that again makes such a difference to your charge mechanics.
Oh, 7 is the most likely.
Oh result. Yeah. And when you've got a re-roll or something like that, you're more or less guaranteed to get in. And that is really key to an assaulty Blood Angel army. They've got all the other litanies as well. Like another favourite is one that gives you +1 strength, +1 attack, and +1 damage on your melee weapon. So it can turn your Chaplain armed with a Rosarius into a proper beat stick. So they're always good. The special Asterath the Grim, he's
a name chaplain.
He's a special name chaplain. So this guy's special. He's now can I remember what he's called? Master of Sanctity, which is the chief chaplain of the chapter. He knows the basic litany, the Litany of Hate,
which just reproduces the previous
aura bonus, but he also knows the special Blood Angels one, which gives any 6s to hit in close combat a -4 AP.
Which
that's
might be useful, but
then he knows another 3 from the list.
Another 3 from the basic
from the book,
list.
from the basic list.
So you got the ones in here.
You got all the ones in there, and plus a Blood Angel one. Yeah,
that's how that works, right?
And he can use 2 a turn.
Right.
So he's pretty good. You can see why there's paint going on this model.
Yes.
This guy, Lamartes,
he effectively knows 5 litanies.
5 litanies, use 2 a turn.
Use 2 a turn.
Lamartes,
but his name character, so you can't give him any more.
Can't give him any more. You can't give him any of the other little buffs or whatever. You can't give him relics
or anything
things. Like that. So Lamartes, he's a special character chaplain who's a member of the Death Company. He knows, I think, 2 litanies plus the Blood Angel one plus the basic one. So he knows 4, but he can only use 1 a turn. But when they've done Lamartes, they haven't changed his other rules particularly. So he still has an aura of re-roll to hits for all Death Company models within 6 inches.
Right.
And
so that's like
aura,
a free permanently active.
It's like a permanent one. And that aura also lets Death Company, including himself because he's a Death Company model, re-roll all charges.
Right.
So he's really good because you're still keeping the permanent re-roll to hit bubble. And you're getting other things like +2 to charge, make him hit harder. The -4 AP one is
what's he
really
coming
good.
in at points-wise?
He is exactly 100 points, I believe.
Exactly 100 points.
And he's
probably fairly respectable in combat.
Oh yeah, he's better than a normal chaplain. I think he's got 5 attack space, so +1 for the Space Marine thing.
Space Marine thing.
Yeah, +1 if you get to round 3, so he'll be hitting 7 times.
Before you've done it.
Yeah, re-rolling all his hits. He's got a relic, Crozius.
So Death Company and Chaplains, I find this one quite interesting because I'm not a big scholar of the fluff, but from what I understand with the Death Company, these guys are permanently stuck reliving the death of Sanguinius.
That they are. They get like the dreams of Sanguinius's death. If you've read the Horus Heresy book, Sanguinius himself had visions of his own death before he went to fight Horus, a spoiler, and got killed by Horus. And the Death Company are Blood Angels who have fallen to that, the Black Rage they call it, and they relive the moments of Sanguinius's death. They get the visions.
So they're all but blind and just fight.
Yeah, just rage. They just want to kill stuff. Everything they see in front of them is Horus, so they want to thump it with their thunder hammers.
And they do that with a great deal of passion and vision. Now that doesn't strike me as, and as I understand it, in previous editions, chaplains could keep control of them.
Yes, going back a lot.
So that they didn't just run off and kill the nearest thing, like orcs in old fantasy editions.
That's it.
Fight whatever's near me.
Not having control of your model is one of the worst ever mechanics.
I understand that.
I mean, if you go back far enough, I think it was either 2nd or 3rd edition, the Angels of Death Codex. At the start of the game, you'd make up your Blood Angel army, and then you'd have to roll a dice for every unit
to see if it had
to see if any of the models fell to the Death Company, and then you'd take that model and that unit, and if you'd rolled a 5 or a 6 or something, and then you'd remove one of your tactical marines and get out one of your Death Company models and put that on. And then all of those units that had fallen slightly to the Black Rage, all the models that fell to the Death Company, you would then make a Death Company unit out of all the models that fell. So you didn't know how many you'd have at the start of the game. They would all fall and apparently just whip out their black paintbrush and quickly do themselves over.
Yeah, for fun purposes. But because I think 8th edition has made or started from making a lot of concessions to gameplay.
Yeah.
But when we get this kind of rules blow, they've thrown that out the window some time ago.
Very much.
But this one seems, especially with the Death Company, the tactical flexibility of giving these guys jump packs,
which you're always going to do, I think.
Yeah. But that seems a long way from these are madmen in a box.
Yeah, they used to just run at the enemy. And now they are. Especially, they got a special stratagem which was in the basic Blood Angels Codex called Forlorn Fury, which you play before the game starts, and it lets them make a move before the game starts. So
a jump pack move.
A jump out and an advance, which you now get +1 to. So I'm sitting here
17 inches.
I'm sitting here 24 inches away from
19.
you. Yeah, and then I move 19 inches up the table. But you say about the tactical flexibility. So I've positioned them on the front line, and then you've gone first. So I pay my command point.
Behind a biscuit tin.
I go and hide behind a biscuit tin. I don't need to run at the enemy.
No.
So, as you say, tactical flexibility. It's that stratagem could really do with a must go at the enemy rule attached to it. But that's one of the things that make Death Company really good.
But like you said, losing control of your models is a horrendous gaming experience.
And it used to be a lot of the armies had that. If you go to Orcs and Animosity, things like that. Yeah. And it was just no fun at all, was it?
No.
I don't know many games nowadays, other miniatures games, that still have that kind of thing in it. I mean, Bolt Action has pinning, which I suppose is not losing control of your model, but you're losing access to your model, maybe.
Yes, and the way units route rather than cease to be effective. Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah, it isn't fun, and it increases the amount of time you spend looking at tables and so forth. All right, so Death Company, Chaplains, but, not everybody in the Death Company is still alive, right?
There are nice people who have been encased in big sarcophaguses and murder machines.
Because these are things pretty unique to the Blood Angels. I don't think anybody else has.
Nobody else has a Death Company Dreadnought. They bought out a Space Wolf Dreadnought, which, let's face it, is pretty. The Wolfen Dreadnoughts, which are
the Wolfen Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, which are basically the same thing.
They're murder machines.
Yeah, stick a murder machine in a murder machine, and what do you get? The Blood Angels have always been famous for their Dreadnoughts, and I mean, my collection, I think I own 12 different painted Blood Angels Dreadnoughts, plus some.
I mean, you've played 2,000 point list with just Dreadnoughts.
I won the tournament with a Dreadnought and Tech Marine list.
And was every Dreadnought different?
Every Dreadnought was... I think I had 3 basic Dreadnoughts. They were all armed differently. I didn't have a single repeated unit. Yeah. Which I felt was quite fluffy, but... it was still broken as heck.
Yes, especially with those new rules in there.
So you've got your Blood Angels Death Company Dreadnoughts. They're pretty good. They're faster than a normal Dreadnought.
Are these characters?
They are not characters. There used to be a character. This one I've actually modelled as a character in the 7th edition rules. You could take one called Castle the Damned. And that's who this is modelled on, but now he's just a generic one. But there are a couple of character Dreadnoughts you can take. And character Dreadnoughts benefit from a whole swathe of rules. So this is a Librarian Dreadnought. You can tell because he's got little bits of blue on him and he's got a massive force axe. So they're a character. Words. Yeah, and more words all printed over him. But he's a character and he's got less than 10 wounds.
Yes.
Which means you can't target him. So you got this little Death Company dude and he's half an inch in front, so you can't shoot this murder machine with your las cannon until you've killed this guy. And it makes such a difference.
Oh.
It makes them so much more usable because he's not cheap. He's 150 points maybe. And he can just die to 2 las cannon shots if he didn't have the character.
And an ordinary psycho wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But Blood Angels have the bonus of their psychic powers increase the speed of their models quite frequently.
Yeah, this thing can do the Wings of Sanguinary.
Yeah, Wings of Sanguinary is a 12-inch bonus move in your psychic phase.
Yeah.
It's pretty useful. There is another character that you can take if you want to splash out into Forge World. This is one I made my own.
Oh, you can't buy a regular one of these?
You cannot buy. This isn't in the codex. So this is a Chaplain Chaplain Dreadnought. I've made this myself.
I didn't realise that.
This is kit bashed out of, I think, 3 or 4 different kits. It's Venerable Dreadnought, the Blood Angels Dreadnought, and I think the Ironclad Dreadnought for the feet. Bought all the bits on eBay and places. But this is a Chaplain Dreadnought, and he similarly, as a character, he's actually got 9 wounds, but he still gets the character
Still
protection.
less than 10.
Yeah, still less than 10. He's got a great big Rosarius. You can give him range weapons.
Does he get a 4-up invuln from the Rosarius as well?
He gets a 5-up invuln, but he also gets, because he's a Venerable Chaplain Dreadnought, he gets a 6-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
But he also gets litanies. So really
work on
powerful. Yeah. The one drawback is you can no longer buy these models from Forge World, even though the rules are there, and they're very good. The rules are amazing. Forge World no longer sell them, hence I had to kit bash my own.
Right. But it's in the Index Imperial
It's in the Index, and they've given it new points. They've actually reduced its points in Chapter Approved. It's dropped, I think, 10 to 15 points. So if you want to make one of your own, I think they're really thematically good for Blood Angels, because they're a Chaplain, they're in a Dreadnought, all the things I like. And they just look cool.
They do. And the Chaplains work within, because you've got the Death Company stuff.
It works as part of the scheme.
It works as part of the scheme.
Yeah, very much.
Which otherwise looks, because you very much get 3 colours in the Blood Angels. Yeah. Black, red, gold.
Yep, they are the 3 things. I mean, that's how I decorate my Christmas tree.
Yeah. Christmas tree. All right, so the character Dreadnought, the character rule on those Dreadnoughts. Because I think it's... But throughout this edition, if I can segue just a little bit, 8th edition, they've still constantly wrestling with this problem of Imperial vehicles.
Yes, very much.
Imperial vehicles are poor because they don't have invuln saves.
Yep, and fly
everything
as well.
else does.
Yeah.
Everything else does. A Meltagon is a pointless weapon system except against an Imperial vehicle.
It's kind of like it's designed to kill Imperial vehicles. Most Imperial vehicles have a 3-up save. A Meltagon's got a -4 modifier. And you're like, that's designed to kill those, but you fire it at most other things and they go, well, I'll take my 4-up invuln.
And having some that they've still not addressed that problem. We've played a game where you fired a missile at an Imperial vehicle and rolled a 6.
Yep. Your Redemptor Dreadnought just bang.
It's like but you one-shot the skimmer's called. You one-shot one with a lucky 6.
Oh, the land speeder, yeah.
You know, the D6 damages can be horrific. You go from, most weapons do 1, 2, or D6. There are 3s, and there are D3s.
And I think they're bringing out more flat damage. So I think they realise players don't particularly like the random, like the new Repulsor Executioner. It's got its gun that fires D6 damage, but minimum of 3. And that's a good way around that, I suppose. So it's a nice little
rather than giving it a D6 plus 2, which still makes you very
It's just a better way of doing it.
Imperial vehicles don't have Feel No Pains, don't have invulns. They're especially vulnerable to anti-tank weapons. Whereas to shoot a Venom, you probably want a not anti-tank weapon or whatever. You know. So.
You feel a bit guilty firing your las cannon. You're like, well, even if I hit and I wound, 50% of the time I'm doing nothing. Seems a bit pointless firing. It's only got toughness 6.
But the Dreadnought characters get around that by having the protection. They can't be shot. Because the other thing with the long range weapons, there's no target priority in the game. You can consolidate all of your las cannon fire or dart lance, whatever it is, from across the whole table and just knock out Imperial vehicles.
There's if you can be targeted, there's no toughness. If you want to kill something in the opposing army nowadays, unless it's a character, you can kill it. But you might have to fire most of your army
at it. If it's a wave serpent.
Well, you can never kill a wave serpent.
No, but the point is that non-Imperial vehicles, you definitely can, because you can...
I played against Jim at our local club a couple of weeks ago, and he was playing his Necrons, and he had a Ghost Arc, I think it is.
It's got that quantum shielding.
Quantum shielding. I got it down to 1 wound. It was on that 1 wound for 3 turns. I kept on firing my auto cannons at it, flat 2 damage.
Which you'd think most of those...
and he needs to roll a 1 to get it. I get 2 wounds through. He's like, 2 dice, double 1. He's like, oh, God. But I say, they get protection. They also have the fly keyword, meaning you can't lock them in combat.
So
which, again, the things like this, it's only got a 24-inch range on its assault cannon.
It's got to be close.
You drive up to shoot something, a Gretchen wanders in, touches its bumper, it's then useless. Give it the fly gun, that's the new Primaris
vehicles.
You
wound it on 2s, though, when you fight back.
Well, that is true. But the new Primaris vehicles slightly fix that, but they don't have an invuln save.
There are other things they could consider. The Space Marine crew could be allowed to fight in melee.
Yeah, just make them slightly. I mean,
make them hit on threes.
They get +1 attack in the first round of combat.
But if it was actually and then some stuff like the skimmers, I think they do have better to hit numbers to reflect that it's the crew that are fighting.
Yeah, like Dark Eldar vehicles, as we said earlier, because they're open topped and they're skimmers, and the models come with guys hanging off them and such.
Yeah,
they get 4+ hit in combat.
Yeah, but there's several guys crewing this vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's in assault, give it a chance that when that one model clips the base, and well, no, it's not the tracks that are firing you, it's the guys inside who've still got bolters and
bolters you in the face.
A little bit of that, just massive segue there.
But that is what I own. God, I think I own 12 Rhino chassis vehicles, maybe more.
But at least the Dreadnoughts fight back. You don't want to clip.
I don't use those very often. The Dreadnoughts, they got a massive death claw to kill you with.
Absolutely. So what else have we got to look at then?
So what else? So let's go through a few things that have changed in the supplement and of game bonuses. So one thing that's worth pointing out is this little guy. So this is a Sanguinary Priest. Now, he hasn't really changed much. He's got a new stratagem which lets him heal twice in a round.
So that's the name for your apothecaries?
Well, because they make rules for models nowadays, it used to be the name for apothecaries. You now have Sanguinary Priests, who are an HQ version of an apothecary, and they give a +1 strength 6-inch bubble, and they get all the apothecary stuff. You can also take something called a Sanguinary Novitiate. I think I'm getting my words right there. And he is exactly the same as a Sanguinary Priest, as a apothecary from the Codex Space Marines, but with a different name. So he's an elite choice.
Right.
And he uses that model, but there's a particular Sanguinary Priest model. But the thing to point out about this is, you'll see I've got a magnetised backpack on that. In the Blood Angels Codex, this guy came out, and because they'd released a new model that didn't come with a jump pack, you couldn't put a jump pack on him. Now this is a problem for many Blood Angels players because
everything else in
the army has a jump pack, and having a guy who's good at buffing people who can't take a jump pack was a bit of a problem. And they brought out the new Legends thing where they've got rid of all the index models, and Blood Angels players were really fearful that you then couldn't use your jump pack Sanguinary Priest, because the only way to give him a jump pack was to use the rules from
the index,
and they've now gone to Legends. But they've reprinted his datasheet in the Blood of Baal supplement. And the only change to the Blood Angels Codex is actually changed his power level down a couple, I think. But the only change is they've just written a little line in there saying may take a jump pack. Good on you, GW. That's what we wanted. Little thing like that is there's not changed any of the other rules or anything.
Yeah,
they've just gone. We realise our mistake
because the jump pack is a £5 for 5 separate. You buy them from GW.
You can get them from
models.
Any kit. Whack them on.
Yeah,
I mean, every one of mine is magnetised.
It's not really a kit bash.
No.
It fits the same port that a regular backpack fits,
exactly, and it's what Blood Angels are. They need their jump packs. That's what differentiates them. So he's a good thing to point out. I'll grab another model from over here. So Sanguinary Guard. You can see I'm in the middle of painting my Sanguinary Guard.
I feel there might be some aggro going on this.
Yeah, I've asked for some more for Christmas, so I've got a full unit.
They're very Christmassy.
They are, yeah. They're nice and gold. These things have greatly improved. I would now say they are the best unit in Codex Blood Angels, and that's for many reasons. So when they came out, they're basically a flying Terminator. They're a Terminator. They got 2 up save, they got 2 wounds, but they got a jump pack instead of any invulnerable save.
And a special single nozzle groovy.
Oh yeah, it's a really nice jump pack. Looks really cool. So previously they were more expensive than a Terminator. Slight problem. Terminators aren't particularly competitive. These have no invulnerable save, thus you just hose them down with whatever you want to fire at them. And they were really expensive. Their weapons alone. So this guy, he used to base cost, I think, 20 something points. But his weapon alone, this axe, used to be 16 points.
Yeah. I think in general weapons have got a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Because they weren't, and that's one of the things with the Thunderhammer, is they realised there's 2 prices, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's the price on a dude who's got a couple of attacks.
And the price on your Death Company captain.
For heroes, it's a force multiplier.
Exactly.
For these guys. So
they've reduced them down. I think he's now 22 points. His axe is now 1 point more than the sword, and it's come down to, I think it's 9 points, so the same price as a Power Fist. But it's a good axe. It's what does it do? It's D3 damage. It's a D3 damage power axe. D3 damage -2 AP +1 strength.
Is it -1 to hit?
No -1 to hit.
Then that's a lot better than a Power Fist.
You can take the sword option, which is -3 AP, doesn't get the +1 strength, still D3 damage.
Take the strength.
So they made the base cost of the unit better. but they've also got 3 different stratagems now which make them usable.
Right, and they are?
So I won't know the names for these because I'm not going to get my book out and look, but there's one which improves their bolt guns. They come with special bolt guns on their wrist called Angelus bolt guns.
Oh, and they're wrist mounted.
They're wrist mounted. This one has a melter pistol, but you can see on there there'll be a bolt gun in there instead, which again I can swap out. But they've given you a new stratagem for those. So it's a 12-inch range assault bolter, which is -1 AP. So strength 4, 2 shots, -1 AP. So that's not a bad weapon.
So in the turns that you're not charging,
you used to have to pay 8 points for it. It's now 3.
Because it's only those guys
those guys that get it.
So it should be factored into the model cost.
And the stratagem for that, I think it's called on Death on Wings or something like that.
Right.
But it means they've got to re-roll all wounds and they ignore cover.
Right.
Unit of those drop down. They're making 20 shots. They're now re-rolling wounds, ignoring cover on their -1 shot, -1 AP bolt guns.
Nice.
If you come down from Deep Strike turn 2, you're in.
How many of these can you put in a unit?
10. Turn 2, you come down, your bolt gun has an extra -1 AP.
With stratagems like that, it's really important that you can have big units.
Yep.
As GW seem to miss the point with Eldar, why there's it's the 12 jet bikes that's the problem.
Or the 9 Dark Reapers.
Same with the Custodes.
Yeah.
It's not the individual components, it's unit size.
Yeah.
Nobody is spending stratagems on individual guardsman squads.
Nope. And this is what they did with Chaos, because the Chaos had the Cultist squad, which used to be 40 models strong.
The problem was the 40 model unit.
I can give this +1 to hit bonus on 10 men, or 5 men, or 40 men. So 10 men of these are really good unit.
That's a good,
So they've given them a good shooting attack. So the next problem with the unit per se is that they've got D3 damage weapons. So the weapon options here is an axe, a sword, or a power fist. All of them do D3 damage. A little unreliable for going after vehicles and things.
Or 2 wound models.
Yeah, 2 wound models. So your next stratagem means any ones you roll on D3 damage for the combat phase becomes 2. Flattens out your damage curve. Seems like a simple thing to do. Getting a reliable damage curve is amazing. Means you're automatically killing Primaris of every attack that you get through. Just brilliant. So their third stratagem they got, which isn't quite unique to those, it's unique to models with Death Masks. Death Masks is an upgrade you can spend, I think it's a point or 2. The Sanguinary comes with 1, Dante comes with 1, you can give them to these guys.
And that's the gold face plate.
The gold face, I mean, it's useless. It's a -1 leadership bubble. We all know how important leadership is in the game. So you can give that to these guys, which you would never do, but there's now a stratagem. You can use it on any unit that has Death Masks, -1 to be hit in close combat.
Okay, that's quite a big difference.
That's quite useful, isn't it?
Especially on a unit of 10 guys.
Yeah. Increase their survivability.
Yeah.
Now,
well, what is interesting with that, because sometimes some of the problems, there's a lot of math hammer goes on, which is like, when I do this, the millions of attacks, and this happens, and but you've got no thought for and then the other guy does something.
Yeah, the other guy's got his reverse of those.
and one of the problems with that is often when you get these really powerful melee units, you're a bit reluctant to put them up against somebody else's really powerful, because you're not going to kill them all.
You don't know
the
math.
retaliation is like, if this goes slightly off, I kill a quarter of them, they have the capability to murder me. Something like that gives you a lot more security, and with that, I want to tag all these other units. Something saying, well, when you hit me back, that -1 is a big deal.
It's so useful tagging that many units, but as you say, it helps your survivability a huge amount. On that theme,
up against them, like you can send them in against a knight, knowing they're going to get fought against.
But they might not kill it in one round, but they'll knock a load of wounds off. But it will go down a couple of brackets, meaning it's not hitting very well. Then add the -1; it's hitting really badly in return.
I like that. I feel things like aggressors need something like that. For example, it's like, you deliver them, they kill, and then they stand there. And then they die.
Then they get murdered. So speaking of stratagems and survivability, there's various stratagems that they've been given that are in the Space Marine Codex that have been brought in. Things like...
and the good ones, not the crap ones.
The good ones, not the crap. So transhuman physiology, which is play on a Space Marine unit, an infantry unit I believe it is, it can only be wounded on a 4+. So if you're chugging away at your Sanguinary Guard, your Death Company with big strong multi-shot weapons, assault cannons, things like that, Yeah,
Or
cutting
being
down
kicked
on
by a
wounds,
knight.
or being kicked by a knight's really good in melee. They give
I know
the
knights are a
company
bit off
one.
meta, but they're still serious.
Oh, they're still, yeah, if you come across one, you've got to pay attention, else it'll murder you.
Yeah. Iron Hand's Dreadnought.
Yep, they've given us the Dreadnought stratagem, though.
Have they?
The one where you halve all damage for a turn, spend a command point, your Dreadnought takes half damage. We've got character Dreadnoughts who are murderous in close combat. Now they're taking half damage for a turn.
And they have a feel no pain.
And they can have feel no pains and things, so really useful for those. Lots of when I'm making up Blood Angel armies now, I'm taking double battalion.
Right.
Because you need so many command points now, whereas previously you're fishing around going, oh, I'm not sure what I want to spend it on.
And just spending them on rerolls or on another chapter.
Yeah, or on another chapter, which you've got to save your 3 for. What other Space Marine ones did they give us that were really good? They've given us all the Veteran Intercessor ones. So you can make your intercessors veterans, and then you can spend it so you can have veterans automatically.
Oh, with the different bolter types and slightly different types of
slightly different stratagems. We've got all of those ones. Trying to think, I might just have a quick flick at the Space Marine Codex.
I have to say that sort of thing is the side that I'm not liking about the new edition.
There's too many.
Too many bolters with too many different roles.
Yeah, we spoke about bolters before.
I was just like,
why are there 20 different bolt guns?
Well, they're not different enough to just say this is what chapter tax. These kind of, putting a slice of paper between two rules.
Yeah,
these are just different ways of achieving the same statistical.
This bolt gun has +1 to hit if you've got -1 to hit type of thing. It's like, it's just a bolt gun.
Yeah,
that was one of the other ones I wanted to remember. Big guns never tire.
Big guns never tire.
Lets you ignore the penalty for moving and firing with your vehicles. Makes a big deal on things like the Bale Predator. It's
definitely
good use on those. CP. That's just 1 CP.
The Wisdom of the Ancients. Do you get that? That's the one that lets you Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, that was an old one.
For a turn.
Yeah. Transhuman Physiology is one of the best ones.
What about stuff like the ones you saw a lot of, like the flak missile and the Hellfire shells?
Still got those. They were in the original book. Things like Spec Scan. So we've still got all of those classic ones. Other good ones they've added in, specifically for Blood Angels, they've given Death Company a special stratagem, which gives them a 5-up feel no pain instead of a 6-up for a turn. Or for a phase, I think it might be.
Right. About Death...
So you can play it on...
I'm just thinking of what Death Company units... Because you need a lot of wounds to make that pay off.
One of the new units they've given is Death Company Intercessors.
Right.
So
10 Intercessors.
10 Intercessors. They're not brilliant because they don't have jump packs.
Something's got to sit on the objective on your side.
Something's got to sit, but they're also not a troop choice.
Death Company are all elites.
They're an elite choice, but they still have their uses. And as you pointed out, the more wounds, that stratagem becomes better.
Yes.
Giving 5-up feel on a pain to your 2-wound Space Marines is really powerful, especially if you're being shot by 2 damage weapons and such.
And you're in cover and at long range, so you're not going to be obliterated anyway.
Yeah. The Death Company Intercessors are, I think they're 1 point more than a normal Intercessor. They're not a troop, but they do get the 6-up feel no pain, the +1 attack when charging. So they've got some good things, some bad things. I think may not be tournament competitive, but they're certainly usable, and I think they'd be good fun.
I don't play that high level of game anymore. I've stopped pushing that envelope. I didn't particularly enjoy it. But intercessors, like a lot of things, if you go for the go big or go, if you have 100 intercessors as your army, you would find that really paid off.
Yes, very much.
If you have 15 intercessors, that's 240 points. What are you expecting them to achieve?
It's not going to win the game on their own, are they?
But if you have 600-700 points worth of intercessors in your list, it's a lot for the enemy to choose through, and there's a lot of fighting in intercessor.
Oh yeah, they're good in combat. Yeah, especially with the new Space Marine.
His gun's all right.
Yeah,
his fight's all right. His wounds are all right.
He's, as he was brought out to be, he's what a Space Marine should be.
He's what a Space Marine should be. Yeah.
He's tough. He's good in combat. He's good at ranged.
But if you're going to take 5 of them or 20 of them, they're not going to do that much for you.
No, you need saturate. I suppose that's the name of the game nowadays. Is though. You don't want to take a completely mixed force, because that just lets your opponent go, no, my anti-tank weapons will fire at their tank.
Optimal firing, isn't it? Yeah.
My rapid firings will kill those guardsmen, my elite killing weapons will kill the ones in the middle.
My 2 damage weapons will shoot the intercessors.
Exactly, but if you've all got intercessors, then they've got to fire all their weapons at all of them, and they're losing a load of efficiency.
My las cannon will fire at your intercessors as well.
So what else have we got?
What's left?
So left we have one of the disappointments, I suppose, for myself is Blood Angels are known to be quite a psychic army. They've always been psychic. Sanguinius himself was psychic. He was one of the proponents at the Council of Nicaea that Space Marines should be able to use their librarians more. But Blood Angels know less psychic powers than any of the armies in this book, for instance.
You mean the Blood Angels' particular discipline has less powers in it?
Well, the Blood Angels have a particular discipline called the Sanguinary discipline. And it's got 6 powers in, same as all the disciplines. But they don't have the basic discipline.
But did they ever?
They didn't ever, but... So basic Space Marines, an Iron Hands librarian, for instance, knows the basic powers out of this book. And then he knows the 6 Iron Hands powers.
It's not an either or. They don't have to choose.
They have to choose, but they get the option of... You take your librarian, at the start of the battle, he chooses his powers. He goes, do I want Iron Hands powers or do I want Space Marine powers? And I'd really hope that in the supplement, they'd have gone, your Blood Angels librarian, does he want Blood Angels powers or does he want Space Marine powers, the basic ones? In previous editions, they all used to get the basic pool and then they got their own thing. Yeah. Just a little bugbear of mine, because I think, why aren't I as psychic as them? And I'd like to take multiple psychers, but when your psychers know 2 free powers, once you get to taking 3 psychers, you've run out of powers to take.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice to have that option.
And as someone who's played against a doubles game where there were 2 Eldar players, allowing people to cast a spell more than once, one copy of a spell, breaks the game.
Yes, not allowed to do that.
It really breaks the game. You mustn't allow that.
One of the things it comes down to, if you take your librarian Dreadnought, for instance, and you take Mephiston, who's a really famous character. I haven't bought the new Mephiston model with me because I think it's wrapped under my Christmas tree. I'm hoping.
And you're not a Primaris guy, are you?
I'm not a Primaris guy.
That is a gorgeous model.
But it's a gorgeous model, and my fluff in my head, my own head canon as they call it, tells me that Mephiston has strength 5, toughness 5, so he's supposed to be a giant Space Marine, and he's kind of like our little Primarch, so I'm getting him. But if you take him and the Librarian Dreadnought,
you've got all the powers.
Well, no, they both want the same powers. They both want the fly power. They both want the more attacks power. So getting a bigger range of powers, like I could take the Space Marine one that gave me reroll charges, so you could have that on one of them and the fly on the other, just to give you a bit of a broader use if you want to take more than one librarian. But alas, we don't get that. But things we do get is we get a load of new relics, which is always nice. So the Blood Angels Codex has, I think, 4 relics. When you think an Iron Hands or an Ultramarine supplement has,
but in the past,
about 15 in.
Those 4 relics would have been 1 so-so relic and 3 guns.
Yeah. And the Blood Angels cannot complain, and I'm not complaining, because they've got 4 or 5 relics. One of them is a useless sword, you never take it. It's a power sword that does D3 damage. It's almost mandatory to me,
so you feel like you're making an informed choice by ignoring
Here's that usually. But we get the Veritas Vitae, which gives you a command point back every time you spend a stratagem if you roll a 5+.
Right.
So always useful, more command points. You've got the Standard of Sacrifice, which is amazing. It's a banner, so you can only give it to ancient models. But it gives you a free Insurer of 5+ Feel No Pain. Really powerful, especially with your Sanguinary.
Includes vehicles or just infantry?
Just infantry.
And
bikers.
And it still does the
all the other dead. Well, the Blood Angel banners in the Codex, they've got 3 different ancient models, but unlike the basic Space Marine book, their different ancients do different things.
Right.
So if you take a Sanguinary Ancient, who's one of the gold guys, his banner gives you a Lieutenant bubble in close combat, so reroll 1s to wound in close combat.
Right.
6-inch bubble, as well as +1 leadership and such. If you take a Terminator Ancient, he gives rerolls in combat to hit in a 6-inch bubble, really nice. And then if you take a Power Armor Ancient or a Primaris Ancient, then he does the standard get back up and shoot somebody type of thing.
With your dying breath.
Yeah, so you get some nice banners, but you get that Feel No Pain banner. What else is in the basic Codex?
Shameless cut there. Ted tells me
we got tea though.
We needed a refresh. We had empty cups for far too long. We were talking about relics, Michael.
Yeah, so I was just going through the basic Blood Angels relics because it's important to know what they're, because they're very good, but there's not very many of them. The last one, which everybody always takes, and it's always on the Smash Captain, Slamguinius as he was, is the Angel's Wing relic. It's a jump pack, lets you reroll charges and ignore Overwatch.
Right. Elna had a similar thing. One of the Banshee Mask.
Yeah, the Banshee Mask on the character. Really powerful. It's what lets you take on a knight in close combat because it doesn't murder you as you run at it.
Yes.
So they're all the relics that were in the Blood Angels Codex, which are very good.
Can still take these ones?
Can't take those. Not allowed any of the Codex.
So they've only got 4 relics?
So they've got 4, but then in Blood of Baal, they've added a ton more. Now, whether they're quite as good as the old ones, maybe not, but there's a load more options, and options is great. Sometimes you don't want to take the Angel's Wing. You want to take a Terminator. You want to take whatever. So they've given us special issue war gear, and there's like 6 or 7, similar to in all the Codex Space Marine supplements. You've got Artificer Armour, which is really useful. You've got special bolt gun bullets, which every of these Space Marine supplements
wizard killing bullets by any chance?
They're basically, I can't remember what they're called. They're basically knock the opponent down bullets.
Oh, it's that!
And what it does is you fire it at a unit, and if you hit that unit, then in the next close combat phase, you get +1 to hit that unit. So
it can still fight back.
It can still fight back, but say you've got your sniper guy, your Primaris Lieutenant at the back, buffing up some of your long-range stuff, pulls out his gun, he shoots the enemy unit, he hits because he's got 2 up to hit. Then you charge them with your Terminators, who've got Power Fists, -1 to hit.
Which are hitting on 4s.
But because you've shot them with your special bullet, you're now hitting on 3s.
And he knocks a whole unit down.
It doesn't do it. It doesn't knock them down in game terms, but the fluff is that it's called a knockdown bullet or something.
Yeah.
So it makes them stagger, so they're easier to hit. So
but
all your close combat attacks,
unit, not a single model.
Yeah. So any close combat attacks done against the unit you shot.
30 termagants.
Yeah.
1
+1 to hit.
We're going to get through these a lot quicker.
Yeah, you go in there, your Death Company start blending them with your chain swords.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Other special issue war gear.
That's just a alternative ammo. You can fire that instead of...
Yeah, whenever you fire your bolt gun, you have this additional effect on it.
Oh, additional effect.
Yeah.
It's not an instead
and it goes in any bolt weapon, but it has to obviously be held by a character because you have to be able to take a relic. One of the most important ones they've got is a icon that they can take. Any model that can take a relic can have it. It gives you a 3-inch bubble of reroll charges. That's a pretty powerful effect. So you can drop down with your character, say a Sanguinary Priest who takes it, drop down with him, some Sanguinary Guards, some Terminators. They're all re-rolling their charges to assault the enemy. It's pretty good. There's your usual selection of there's some bolt
this isn't
guns.
one of these ones where the wording of the rule might make a difference, though. It doesn't have to be there at the start of the turn to be active.
No, it doesn't.
Because there's some issues around a lot of that deep strikes I've seen.
Yeah.
Actually, those models weren't on the table.
And the Chaplain rules are one of those things that suffer because Chaplain rules have to be initiated at the start of each battle round. So those litanies we spoke of, you have to be on the table to activate them.
Yeah, I think people tend to often play them in the psychic phase, but they actually happen at the beginning of the battle round, don't they?
They do.
And if I'm going second, that means I did them in the beginning of your turn.
And if you're in deep strike,
they didn't
drop down, they didn't happen.
Yeah.
Blood Angels have a slight way around that. One of the stratagems in the basic codex is a rule that lets you pick up a model and deep strike it again. So you can leave your Chaplain behind a rock, if you like. He activates his litanies, and then come to the movement phase. You pay your couple of command points, you pick him up, you deep strike him the other side of the board, but he's still activated his litanies, so he's still got the bubble.
That bubble
is that's a nice way around that.
Yeah.
So the relics, so it gives you reroll charges, then there's the usual selection of new swords, new guns, things. Generally they're not particularly good, none of them are as good as a Thunderhammer, for instance. But the last one I'd like to speak
swords
about...
are often important because they're stuck
it's the only way to get it.
Yeah.
The last one that I'd like to talk about is they've released a special relic you can give to the Librarian Dreadnought.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Like it isn't powerful enough.
Like it's not powerful enough, and it's
not a jump pack, is it?
It's not a jump pack. Although Forge World have just released a 30k Contemptor Dreadnought with jump pack model. So they haven't released 40k rules for it yet, but I'm waiting. As soon as 40k rules get released, I shall be hitting that buy button. Contemptor Dreadnought with a massive jump pack. It's like one of those re-entry rockets on the space shuttle.
But you have to use a spell for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, they've given the Librarian Dreadnought a special relic it can take. Vehicles can't usually take relics, but obviously this one you can. It gives him an extra 6-inch range on all his psychic powers. It's pretty good. So smiting out gives him more reach with his buff powers, but it gives him rerolls on casting a psychic power and deny the witch, making him a lot more reliable.
And because of that, Wings of Sanguinary, they're not sit at the back psychers and buff.
No, they're a run forward.
I need to be using my fist to get my points right.
It's a real choice now whether to take the Librarian Dreadnought or Mephiston. They're similar points and they're similar in role, so which you take is really down to flavour. The Librarian Dreadnought is a bit tougher versus certain things. It's got toughness 7, it's got a couple more wounds, but Mephiston's got a 2-up save and he's got a 5+ feel no pain. Mephiston's got more attacks, the Librarian Dreadnought has less attacks, deal more damage. So they're a really nice little balance there, and giving that the upgraded Sarcophagus relic means that it's around the same level as Psyker as Mephiston as well, so they're really similar. So just choose your poison, really.
And that means that they're well pointed, though, doesn't it? Is when you send it. It's a genuine choice rather than one is a clear winner.
Yeah, you never want an auto-take model, because if it's an auto-take, if every time you sit down to make an army you go, put that in my list, then that's pointed wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing should be an auto-take.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be, best will in the world, there's going to be, but there shouldn't be anything that is, I'll never take that. If so, then chapter approves there to alter the points slightly up and down, isn't it? Everything is takeable if you reduce its points enough.
Absolutely. Well, contempt to Dreadnought with the jump back.
Oh,
the Space Wolf in me once then.
See if you can find a picture and stick it on the video.
So we're waffling on a lot now, so I think we should probably try and get it up. So we talked a lot about the kind of unique models within there and some of the stratagems, but I guess for the sports fans at home, to pull it all together is the key. You can have exactly the right army, but you know, the pilot behind it, how all these things fit together, the synergy between the strategy, the models, the relics. So, could you suggest, going forwards, what 3 lists are you, or 2, what were you looking to try now that you wouldn't previously have done with the Blood Angels, just because the codex would jump?
So the first thing I think about when looking at Blood Angels is, and obviously your taste varies depending on how you want to play. If you want to take a vehicle-heavy shooty army, go and play Codex Space Marines.
Iron Hands in particular?
Oh, any of them. They're all better at shooting. Blood Angels are a close combat army. They're the close combat Marines. All of their buffs, most of their stratagems are all keyed to the assault phase. So if you don't want to assault stuff, play some red-painted Space Marines is my advice.
Which is what you've been doing for the past 2 years.
Which is what I've been doing, because they haven't been able to, but now they're able to assault.
Yeah.
So if you do want to play Blood Angels, you want to play an assaulty Space Marine chapter, the Blood Angels have got you covered. They've got loads of really good options now. I think the most competitive thing in the Codex is a Sanguinary Guard. We talked about their stratagems. They can take a big unit size. They're now survivable. They're quick. They're deadly. They're everything you want, and they're quite cheap. 30 points for a model. It's well worth it.
So you can get a +2 to charge with them. How?
+2 to charge with them if you've got a Chaplain nearby, but they get an innate +1.
And that Chaplain can take a jump pack. So that
can take a jump pack.
I'm just thinking about with the litany stuff.
Yep.
So the Chaplain need to be on the board at the beginning of turn 2.
Yeah, so
when you bring them in, it's...
Tactics-wise, or the army I'm making at the minute, which I'm going to be playtesting my mate Mark, I take a couple of units of scouts, you deploy them upfield, hopefully hiding. So that means that none of your characters can be shot because there's scouts closer to them.
Yeah.
Then you deploy your characters midfield, and they're going to jump forwards, so they're halfway up the table after your first turn. On your second turn, you're bringing down your deep strikers, and your characters can then jump forwards and be near them. So if you're taking the Chaplain, he can activate his litanies, and he'll be up there with them when you deep strike in. But they're protected because you've hidden your scouts. So you're not losing a whole load of stuff.
No. And you're not missing a lot by not firing effectively an assault bolter.
Yeah.
On 10 model.
No, exactly. But if you do want to kill some stuff, you drop down and use that new stratagem to murderise things.
Yeah.
So Sanguinary Guard are one of your key units. If you want to be assaulting, you take them.
Yeah. And in a 2,000 point list, are you talking about taking like 20 of these guys?
You could take 20. I think you generally want a couple of hammer units, and they're good for killing hard targets. If you want to kill chaff, like you want to wipe out orc
by hammer,
boys,
you mean Death Company with hammers?
Yeah.
Normal Death Company?
Yeah, normal Death Company will go through chaff like nobody's business. They'll kill guardsmen, they'll kill termagants, they'll kill orcs, but they're quite expensive to take thunder hammers on and stuff like that. So Sanguinary Guard for killing elite things, Death Company for killing chaff.
Right.
So they're your 2 big hammer units you want to take. Ranged options... if you want to branch out into Forge World, there's a load of lovely ranged Dreadnoughts in Forge World. Blood Angels are really Dreadnoughty. But other than that, things like Eliminators are really good. Any of the Primaris troop choices, things like Intercessors, because as you were saying earlier, they're good in combat. And because you've got Blood Angels, you're multiplying their close combat effectiveness.
Yes.
So take some of those as your troops. Characters. Blood Angels are a very character-heavy army, similar to Space Wolves. You want loads of characters. So you can take, I think my 2,000 point list has got the Sanguinary in, it's got Lamartis in, it's got a Smash Captain, it's got a Sanguinary Priest, it's got a Chaplain Dreadnought, it's got Mephiston. So I've got 6 characters in there, and it's getting them to close combat and multiplying your big melee units. It's not a popular opinion, I suspect, but Terminators I really like now.
I think the jury's out. I think we need to see the dust settle on in the new points.
Blood Angels have so many ways of gaining extra attacks on the units, whether it's the Sanguinary, whether it's psychic powers.
Or whether it's just that it's turn 3.
Yes, turn 3, whether you're getting your Space Marine +1 for charging. So many ways of getting extra attacks. And if you're getting extra attacks on your biggest hits, which are Thunder Hammers or Power Fists, that's a really good thing to do. If you're hitting 5 times with a Terminator, you're killing whatever you want. There's nothing going to survive it.
Absolutely.
Other things that are good, there are your staples, but they're not really good anymore, so you won't see many Assault Marines, your basic
guy with a bolt pistol.
Used to be, I've got 30 of them model at home because you used to take them as troop choices.
Yeah, that's when I think like Blood Angels, I see a stream of guys with jump packs and a chainsword.
But what you can do with those models, if you don't mind cutting one of the arm off, you could either paint them black, that's a good option because then they're a death company, or give them a Storm Shield and call them a Vanguard Veteran.
Because it's only a couple of points for a Storm Shield.
2 points for a Storm Shield, and I think it's 2 points more than an Assault Marine to be a Vanguard Veteran.
Which has an extra attack.
Which has an extra attack, an extra leadership, better weapon options, and can take a Storm Shield. And then you've got a unit of, I think, 16-point models with a 3-up invulnerable save that can use all of your stratagems. So they're a really good option.
So would you say then that the net loser for the Blood Angels is the Assault Marine?
Oh, certainly. If you go back to 5th edition, I used to field 30 Assault Marines.
Yeah.
I haven't fielded them in years, and unfortunately still don't.
No.
And the other net loser is vehicles of all kinds other than Dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
Vehicles are just not really worth fielding. As we discussed earlier, the problems with Imperial vehicles, and none of the Blood Angel special rules address or help that in any way.
No.
So they're not a good option. I'd love to take a Land Raider, and I still on occasion do take one because I love them. They're a big brick of a model, but the whole idea of having to drive at the enemy with something that loses all its power if somebody touches it is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So other things you want to take, definitely Chaplains. What other things? One Psyker, I think you always want to take either Mephiston or a Librarian Dreadnought.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about
that. One or the other. But they're the keys to your list, and then fill in around there. I really like Primaris Eliminators. Now, I know they're Primaris models, and I don't do those, but I have. And
you go for the mini las cannon, or do you go for the
sniper rifle every time? The las cannon you can do with loads of other stuff. The sniper rifle is a unique weapon.
It's the one you can hit anything within 36 on 2s.
Yeah.
You don't have to see it.
Don't have to see it.
I think it's so powerful.
The one vehicle which I think is a slight exception to my don't take vehicles in your Blood Angel army rule.
No, you don't need it. You got jump
don't want your drop pods is, and again, not sure how popular opinion this is, whirlwinds. When do you see a whirlwind on the table? But actually,
I think you see more of them because of the point structure they've had.
They're now, I think, 65 points.
The thing is that they basically have indirect shots with autocannons, though, right?
Yeah.
And only a handful of them.
Well, 2d6 shots. I prefer the anti-infantry one. So if you think you're playing your Blood Angels and you're dropping down turn 2,
you
need to clear a bit of space.
Yeah.
And you're only taking a couple of vehicles. Now, if you take a couple of vehicles, they're going to die turn 1 if the opponent can shoot them.
They're going to soak up every melt of a lasgun shot.
So they've got to be hiding. So if they're hiding, they need indirect fire.
Yeah.
Now, I'd prefer to take a Thunderfire cannon if I was playing Codex Space Marines, but we don't have those.
Oh, you didn't get that?
No, we don't get those. We've got all the Phobos units now, so all of the Eliminators, the all those things we give you, incursors, infiltrators. Got all of those, but no, we don't get some of the other Space Marine units, like there's no Centurions in the Codex Blood Angels, there's no Thunderfire Cannons, stuff like that. So a Thunderfire Cannon is a better Whirlwind, but a Whirlwind still does that job. It's indirect fire, so you can get stuff hiding out, and it kills 2d6 dudes. If you're trying to kill guardsmen to make a bit of space, you can assault their tanks with your dropping units, then Whirlwind will do the job. And it gets a slight bonus because at turn 1 you're in Devastator Doctrine. It's got -1 AP now.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think for other Space Marine armies, I think Whirlwinds are very important because they're not humping up the table to the same extent. Whereas you're all about being the things that you're talking about using indirect fire on. You're all about being in amongst them in turn 2.
But you don't say if you're playing against Orcs and they've got a line of Gretchen sitting there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be dropping down your 300-point Sanguinary Guard unit to kill a 20-point squad of Gretchen.
Yeah.
Which you have to do before you can get to the stuff behind it. So if you can take your Whirlwind to clear those out beforehand.
Yeah.
And they're so cheap.
Yeah.
If they had to see the enemy, I'd never think about taking them. In fact, you can hide them. If you've got enough train on the table, they won't just get killed.
Yeah.
Then they're worth taking. It's difficult in Blood Angels because you need some anti-tank options, some ranged options, but they're hard to take because if you take vehicles, they're just going to die.
Yeah.
If I take a Predator with quad las cannon, you're going to shoot it turn 1 and it's going to be gone because it's the only thing on the table that's worth shooting with your las cannon.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right then. Anything else that you wanted to...
No, go out there and enjoy them. Blood Angels have...
Yeah, get in the next few months. Get in.
They've suffered historically. They've often been the last codex of an edition. Like in 5th edition, our codex came out and was good for about 3 months, and then
you got a new edition.
Then the new edition comes along and you go, that's not so good. And then in 7th edition, we got our codex at the end of a cycle. You may remember, you may not have been playing at the time. In 7th edition, it came out and there were some really good codexes, and then it went through and they improved them slightly, and then they decided to simplify stuff. So they brought out a load of codexes in a row, which were quite simple codex, and the Blood Angels were the last of those. And when they came out, it was fine. It's like, this is nice, a nice fair thing. And then after that, they just turned the dial up to 11, and they released Necrons, Tau, Eldar, which all had all these bonkers new rules in. So your Blood Angels were, they're good for 5 minutes and then they're gone.
Right.
So go out and enjoy them while you can. They certainly seem really playable. I've only played them twice now, I think, with all the new rules in place. But they seem really competitive, really quite fun as well. They do what Blood Angels should do. You're not doing... It's not like Orcs and Tyranids now, which are shooting armies, it appears, which...
I think
gets to my goat a little bit.
Things move. Things move, don't they? I think, though, there's more than just rules to blame for armies going for shooting or fighting.
Very much,
A lot of it is about mission and game size and target priority and especially terrain.
Hugely terrain.
I honestly believe if competitive play or just matched play, for want of a better term of any type, there should be some minimum terrain requirements.
Yes. You see some people talk about stuff and then you say, what kind of terrain you use? And you go, I've got a forest and there's a couple of walls and a ruin, and you're like, well, none of that does anything really in game.
No. What is stopping you from firing all of those last cannons? You talk about hiding the whirlwind.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You need several places where you.
You need a giant hill or a massive building with a proper wall in it.
But there needs to be line of sight blocking terrain. If nothing else, to just stop everything from being able to shoot anything.
Yeah. You need fire lanes. I mean, Kill Team teaches that quite a lot. Kill Team needs really dense terrain, and it needs nice fire lanes to force you into different positions and such.
Whereas if you play Kill Team with a forest on opposite corners,
what's the point?
It's not a game.
No,
it's a terrible game. All right, that was our look at Michael's look for us on the Blood Angels. And hopefully one day the Space Wolves will receive the same treatment and we'll have another game.
Well, the Space Wolves, I think, will be out in April.
The Saga of the Beast.
The Saga of the Beast. If that's not Orcs and Space Wolves, I have no idea what it is.
Well, if it's not Space Wolves, Beasts is open to interpretation, but Saga doesn't seem to be. So I'm hoping for that. And there's even rumours about box sets and all sorts.
Yeah. New Ghazghkull, apparently, maybe. Oof.
Isn't it just about the only half decent model that they have at the moment? I like the resin Ghazghkull.
I used to have a big Orc army, which my mate Nick now owns.
Oh, right. That Orc army on your channel used to be yours?
So, yeah, not most of it. Nick owned a big Orc army, I owned a big Orc army. And then I was moving house and kind of needed to downsize the huge amount of miniatures I had. So I said, I'm selling my models, and Nick just absorbed them into his army. Which is quite nice, because now if I still want to use them, I can still use them. Some of them are painted. I don't like selling models I've painted, because you never get the hours you've spent. If you spend 2 hours painting the model, at my hourly rate, I'm not going to make that money back.
No. You should have to think what
I should have just gone to work instead. Yeah, exactly. So I don't like selling them, but yeah. So I used to have an Orc army. The only model I kept is Ghazghkull. I still have my Ghazghkull because I love the model. I'd like to upsize it a bit, maybe, but
stretch his legs out. So he can look Bobby G in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. Just give him a bit more bulk. But I think he's a lovely sculpt.
Or are you thinking you want like what's it called, Magnus? Like Magnus size guys.
I like Magnus, I like Mortarion, but I don't think you want too many models that big. It's a bit big for a
You take the fly wings off Mortarion. And
he's a Space Marine.
He's a bit bitty. All right, guys, that was us. You will start seeing 40k games on the channel. We've been working on a format. See them quite soon, and hopefully Michael will be involved in some of those.
Fingers crossed.
Definite. When the Space Wolves get this treatment, we will have a game.
Yeah.
We'll have a game.
The vampires versus the werewolves. We'll call it the Twilight Struggle or something like that.
Oh, thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye. Please remember to like, comment, share or subscribe this video. And if you are buying new games or new miniatures, please consider following our affiliate link to Wayland Games. It gives us a little bit of kickback and helps fund other projects for the channel. Thank you for watching. Twilight.
Never seen films.
I'm stuck with that name.
That'd be good. Space Wolves versus Blood Angels.
It's such a shame that the one game that we did of that wasn't the one that we got filmed.
No, it wasn't.
We played with the Garmin afterwards.
And that was really good, that first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, because both codexes were crap.
Yeah. But as we said in the video, having balanced stuff is just more fun, isn't it?
Definitely.